Hey Brick fans, this is Dave from Brick 101, and today I'm going to show you how to build Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic had over 3,900 votes for me to build it, making it the most requested thing I've built yet, beating out Godzilla by a slim margin. So I'm really proud of how Metal Sonic turned out. Similar to Godzilla, Knuckles, and Bendy, this model was designed by Mark Larson with oversight and supervision from me. Really happy with how this turned out. I think the spines look great. It's got the thin limbs of Metal Sonic, all the nice little details in a really compact size. So really happy with how this turned out. One thing I wanted to show off, whenever I'm designing a model for a how to build video, it usually goes through several iterations before I come up with the final model. However, since I usually do those iterations just physically with bricks, I don't have a record of them. But since working with Mark, he's sending me designs in LDD, so I actually can show you a bunch of the early drafts of Metal Sonic, so you can kind of see how the very first draft is really pretty far from what we ended up with, but over a few different iterations we refined it, and then I did some final changes in the brick version. So just a little insight into what the creative process of designing one of these builds is. It's not something where I can magically on my first try build a perfect model. There's a lot of work and trial and error that goes into any build here on Brick 101. With that said, let's start building Metal Sonic. We're going to start off by building two identical legs. Starting piece for this is going to be a Travis brick in black. Color is not super important here, but I think black is the best. 1x1 red plate on the front, and then a red cheese slope. On the back, round out the back of the shoe with a red 1x1 round tile. You could also use a plate if you don't have a tile. Put some gray 1x1 round tiles on the sides. That's to represent kind of the metal gear that's inside his shoe. That I think was a really cool design choice by Mark. And then take a T piece, put it in there. Then a blue minifigure hand on the front is going to add just a little bit of kind of the blue leg covering that Metal Sonic has over his metal parts. And then one of these gray bar connector to clip. Had to buy some sets just to get some of those in gray. I had a bunch in black, so a little harder to come by in gray depending on what your collection looks like. Another option, if you don't have a Travis brick for the foot, is to put a gray Erling brick there instead, and then you'd have to turn that into a plate on the back as opposed to tile. That's just going to give you a flatter surface, so it'll take it down about half of a plate height. It actually makes it more stable to stand on the ground, but it doesn't look quite as cool. And actually Metal Sonic floating a little bit off the ground is basically in character. Next up, let's build the torso. Start with a 2x2 round plate in blue. Then you're going to take a yellow 1x1 round plate with hole through it if you've got it. Otherwise you can just use a regular yellow plate. Put that on the bottom in the center. Building up, we'll do a 1x2 blue plate and a 1x2 to 1x2 bracket in blue over on this side. Then we'll build up with some Erling bricks and some new style headlight bricks. So one of each of those here and on the other side. Connect all of that with another 2x2 round plate and top it all off with a round plate with hole in yellow. Again, don't have to do the hole if you don't have it. For connecting the legs, we're going to use 1x1 plate with clip. I like this style clip for connecting the legs. That allows them to move front to back. But if you want to make Metal Sonic do jumping jacks, you could also use this style clip to connect the legs. And since we already built them, just go ahead and connect the legs. And this actually kind of looks like just a micro scale walking robot destroyer kind of thing. I mean, Now moving on to the arms, going to get another one of these bar to clip connectors in light gray, then a pinch bot arm in light gray, clippy cloppy, then one of these nozzle pieces in yellow. You can get these in the Blaze Mob from Minecraft, and they should have a couple extra, or one extra at least per set. And then you can add on 3 light gray minifigure hands for the fingers. If you don't have that piece in yellow or light gray minifigure hands, you can also do the reverse and do yellow minifigure hands on a light gray nozzle. That works as well. I like this as the color scheme a little bit better, but that's also a matter of personal choice. And then you can go ahead and attach the arms. They each fit into this shoulder socket, and then you can twist the hand part around depending on how you want the fingers to be. So nice posability here because you can move the arm in a couple ways at the shoulder joint, rotating or hinging, and then also the wrist joint can and then the wrist joint can rotate, and the fingers can rotate. So lots of different poses you can do with the arms. And the legs, I should also mention, have some nice poses. You can hinge them back and forth, and you can also rotate at the ankle joint if you want to get the shoes out, facing out a little bit. That's possible too. Boop boop doo. Okay, now let's build Metal Sonic's head. Start with a 2x3 plate in blue, then get some 1x3 curvy downward slopes, and put those off the back there. In the center, we're going to do a 1x2 blue plate, and then some 1x1 blue tiles on the side. In front of that, I'm going to get one of these gray, light gray click hinges for the nose and a light gray jumper. Going to connect those together with a 1x2 black plate. Behind that, we'll do an Erling brick in blue. 1x2 blue plate up here. Then, importantly, a brick with studs on 2 opposite sides. It did black, but I think it'll be pretty much covered up, so the color isn't super important. Then a 1x1 plate and a cheese slope up front. Then let's do the eyes. So I'm using these transparent red 1x2 plates. If you don't have those, just a regular red plate works as well, and actually kind of shows up a little bit better than the transparent one in some scenarios. And then you're going to connect those with some 1x2 curvy downward slopes. If you've run out of curvy downward slopes, you could also do a 1x2 tile and a 1x1 plate to connect them. So we're just going to switch to red right now because I'm feeling that as opposed to transparent. So you can see it's got those nice bright red eyes with a little bit of black in between, which is pretty accurate to Metal Sonic's look in the games. Back here, you're going to take a blue jumper plate, which importantly is the new style that doesn't have a dot in the middle, because that can center itself on top of this Erling brick. If you don't have that, you can just use a 1x1 plate here. It's not super important, and we'll do a 1x3 plate centered on top of that. Then a 1x1 plate and a cheese slope go off the back here. And then over here, you're going to get a 4 long curvy downward slope in blue, plus a 1x1 plate and a 1x2 upward slope. This was, one of the best things that Mark did was just getting the shape of that upper spine right. I think this looks really great, combining that cheese slope to the upward slope and then the downward slope. That big spine is really important for how Metal Sonic looks, contrasted with the 2 downward spines. And finish it off with some yellow cheese slopes for the ears. And now you can take the final step of connecting the head to the body. So this bracket should fit nicely into the bottom of that 2x3 plate in the center. Unfortunately, this head can't rotate That was one thing I gave up in order to keep the size at, make him from getting too tall. But I think his look is pretty amazing, and it's definitely worth giving up the head rotation. So you can see he ends up being a little bit taller than Sonic at the double fig scale, but a little bit of that comes from him floating half a plate off the ground, and then his top spine being a little bit taller than Sonic. So they're still basically the same scale, so I think it works pretty well even if the size is a little bit off, but the spine and the body just look so good on Metal Sonic, I couldn't think of anything else to take out to make it a little smaller. So after I finished Metal Sonic, I decided I needed to build a Master Emerald so I could recreate the final boss fight for Knuckles from Sonic and Knuckles, where Knuckles fights a super powered up version of a Sonic robot. But then I realized I was confusing Mecha Sonic with Metal Sonic, and despite them being very similar, they are actually two separate characters with different designs. Anyway, I still built this Master Emerald and a couple Super Emeralds to go alongside it. They're built out of transparent pieces, a lot of which are pretty rare, so it'd probably be pretty hard for anyone to follow along if I did a tutorial on them, but let me know in the comments if you want to see how I built the Master Emerald and the Super Emerald, and I'll do a video on them. Ah, what a beautiful day here on Angel Island. I'm just sitting here guarding the Master Emerald. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Ah ha ha. I will take the Master Emerald and use it for nefarious purposes. Oh no! Don't do that! Yes, I will do that. Oh no, I'm too slow to stop you! Oh darn, they got away. Well, I better go find Sonic the Hedgehog and beat him up, because he's definitely the one who stole it, and not some robot that just looks like him. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to Brick 101, and check out all my other video game how-to builds.